All right. Greetings. Welcome back to Black Bear News. There's a lot of, I don't know what all that is about. Shoot. Hold on a second, guys. I didn't notice there was all this noise on here. Give me a sec. Okay, that seems to be better. My apologies. Just a slight crackle. All right. Greetings. Welcome. We're live on YouTube, Rockfin, and on Callin. Rockfin people, how you doing? I see you. Thanks for hanging out with us today. And we got everything. The sound is good. All right, thank you. We're live on the call-ins. Cool. Starting off saying a really good way to support the show is buymeacoffee.com/blackbearnews. The most direct way is Venmo and Cash App, and those links are in the description box. And also, super chats and super rays greatly accepted. But how y'all feeling today? All right, let's get some thumbs up going on all the platforms, please, if you could. All right. Oh, I do this all the time, where I'll put something in the thumbnail or in the title of the show, and I won't even cover thumbnail or title, but this is a Chinese woman is smashing a robot in the hospital. So people really don't like these things. This is something that we might see in the future. Humans against the robots. And this robot isn't very capable of fighting back. Oh man, what did I see today? Also, I saw something really crazy. Anyways, a Chinese woman is smashing a robot in the hospital because now in China's hospitals, they make all the doctor and medical examination appointments are all done by robots. Very few nurses left to help the patients. Many find it a frustrating process. Just wait till they roll out all the robot dogs. Oh, what did I see today that was crazy? Maybe I need to find this because it is I don't know where this is on Twitter from 60 Minutes. These are AI learning robots that are playing soccer, and they taught themselves to play soccer So it's not just that they're capable of doing all these things like running and kicking and moving, and it's not that they're just capable of getting around and possibly doing other things, other things that aren't as frivolous as playing soccer, things that might be a little more ominous, a little more threatening, a little more controlling. But these these robots can't just play soccer. They taught themselves to play soccer, given one instruction, score, and they develop their own strategies. And then, you have a lot of people saying this could end up badly for humans, and then there's other people that are like, no, let's just keep on going. Let's keep doing it, because technology is always the answer, and it's always going to be better, and it's always going to make your life better, and it's always going to be really cool. I see some people commenting on how many humans there are everywhere. And yes, and I encountered that this week. I can't encounter it every day because I live in Los Angeles, but I encountered it this weekend, this last weekend as well. Grateful Dan says the humans are everywhere. They are. Judy Truitt says, I remember hiking Zion in the early 70s, no people. My stepson sent a picture recently, lines of people on the trail. It's not that I'm anti-human. It's not that I don't like other humans. It's just that there could be a problem with there being too many humans overrunning literally everything. Didn't I read I read an article a few months ago, or maybe last year, about how the crush of people at particular nature preserves or places set aside for people to go enjoy nature. Well, there were so many people coming to enjoy nature that they destroyed the nature. They were like, the rangers and the park administrators were like, all right, we gotta curtail this onslaught of people coming to do something, as quaint and non-threatening as going out for a hike. They're hurting the actual thing that we set this aside for, which was to preserve the nature. If you don't think that, and I've heard even other people comment on exactly the same thing. People that are in the they hate humans and they want to kill you camp, right? The people that are in the there's a depopulation agenda camp. Even those people, I've heard them say like, oh yeah, there's, when a whole bunch of people come over, do some ecotouristing from some other country, and they come over here and they actually destroy everything they touch. Oh, really? Oh, so too many humans in the wrong place might be a bad thing? Oh, really? Oh, okay. Okay. Sounds a little anti-human to me. What do you want to... Should we control them? Should we keep them out? Should we make a law? Should we pass a regulation? Or should we just allow it? Should we just let it continue? Grateful Dan, I actually agree with you on that. And I know it's so unpopular. I know that people would be super pissed at me. And people, I've said this before, and people have been like super mad at me. Grateful Dan says all national parks need to be closed down. We don't deserve them. I think there should just be human exclusion zones, and big ones at that. Large human exclusion zones. I know it'll be a problem. I know who's going to monitor what corporations and governments go in there and get, I know all the arguments. You got to start somewhere. You got to do something. Yes, and then when you make the law excluding humans from this zone, you should say, yeah, and there's no corporations in here, there's no mining in here, there's nothing. There's no economic activity in here. There's nothing. There's no humans, there's nothing. Maybe we'll monitor by drone. I don't know. And we'll have humans on the outside ready, to go in and kick people out if we need to. But we got to start somewhere. I'm sorry. As a fellow human, I say we got to kick those fuckers out. Pardon my language. But Jesus Christ, we can't go everywhere. We can't have everything. We can't do everything we want. Would you tell your child that? If you had a friend who was a nutbag, out of control lunatic who was eating everything in sight and drinking everything in sight, would you say, like, yeah, keep on going? Think it's going to end well for you? Would you do that? Why would you do that? That's cool. Judy Truitt says, I live near a wilderness area which excludes motorized anything. Only people with backpacks, horses, mules, hand chop, no electric saw. That's cool. Anyways, those are just my thoughts. I know, radical. Oh my God, what are you saying? How could you? Whoa, that's too crazy. We're not even, I hope that other people are having these conversations, because I don't hear, I know we talk about news and regular world events and stuff like that. But, people aren't even having the right conversations, for Christ's sake. Which is like, should we even be allowed to do all the things we're doing? Or go all the places we're going? And there's a whole pack of people out there telling you, like, no, you can't even consider that. That's crazy. Oh, okay. Okay. From Paul Beckwith, climate change, recent rapid warming alarms scientists. Oh, yeah. It's alarming, isn't it? Rapid ocean warming is, to be more exact. Recent rapid ocean warming ahead of El Nino alarms scientists. This is ongoing. We're going to keep on talking about it. I mean, there's a chart out there of sea surface temperatures that is literally off the charts. It's literally off the, beaten path of where it's supposed to be going, and it's going up. It's going up. Recent rapid heating of the world's oceans. This month, sorry, I'm not going to read the same thing 3 times. This month, the global sea surface hit a new record high temperature. It has never warmed this much this quickly. Scientists don't fully understand why this has happened, but they worry that combined with other weather events, the world's temperature could reach a concerning new level by the end of next year. Experts believe that a strong El Nino weather event, a weather system that heats the oceans, will also set in over the next months. Warmer oceans can kill off marine life, lead to more extreme weather, and raise sea levels. They are also efficient at melt whole chunks of ice. They are also less efficient at absorbing planet-warming greenhouse gases. So where are we? They're saying we're here or somewhere or here even. An important new study published last week with little fanfare highlights a worrying development. Over the past 15 years, the Earth has accumulated almost as much heat as it did in the previous 45 years, with most of the extra energy going into the oceans. This is something that nobody, not a lot of people even understand. Why? Because they don't want to pay attention to the problem, or they don't want. It's easier to dismiss the problem and not even know what's happening. Oh, really? The oceans are absorbing way more heat than any other place on the planet? And we've burned more emissions in the last 10 to 20 years and absorbed more heat in the last 10 to 20 years than we did over the previous 50, 60, 70, 80 years. Oh, that's not problematic? Okay. This is having real world consequences. Not only did the overall temperature of the oceans hit a new record in April this year, in some regions the difference from the long term was enormous. In March, the sea surface temperatures off the east coast of North America were as much as 13.8 Celsius higher than the 1981 to 2011 average. That's a lot of C. It's not yet well established, but why such a rapid change and such a huge change is happening, said Karina von Schuckmann, lead author of the new study and an oceanographer at the recent research group Mercator Ocean International. We have doubled the heat in the climate system in the last 15 years. I don't want to say this is climate change or natural variability or a mixture of both. We don't know yet, but we do see this change. Well, nice shuck and jive there, Schuckman. One factor that could be influencing the level of heat going into the ocean is interestingly a reduction in pollution from shipping. In 2020, the International Maritime Organization put in place a regulation to reduce the sulfur content of fuel burned by ships. This has had a rapid impact, reducing the amount of aerosol particles released into the atmosphere. But aerosols that dirty the air also help reflect heat back into space. Removing them may have caused more heat to enter the waters. What are the impacts of ocean warming? The average surface temperature of the world's seas has increased by around 0.9 C compared to pre-industrial levels, with 0.6 C coming in the last 40 years alone. This is less than increases in air temperatures over the land, which have risen by more than 1.5 C. Oh. Hold on. Did they just say 1.5? Did they just admit 1.5 in this article? Wow. I think they just admitted 1.5 C. Because for a long time they've been like, oh, about 1 degree Celsius. Oh, about 1.1. Oh, about 1.2. They just said 1.5. Huh. That's extremely interesting. This is because much more energy is needed to heat water than land. And because oceans absorb heat far below their surface. Even the seemingly small average increase has significant real-world consequences. Loss of species, more frequent and intense marine heat waves lead to mass mortality of sea life. This is particularly damaging for coral reefs. More extreme weather, increased heat in the upper ocean surface means hurricanes and cyclones can pick up more energy. This means they become more intense and longer lasting. Sea level rise. Warmer waters take up more space, known as thermal expansion, and can greatly accelerate the melting of glaciers from Greenland and Antarctica that flow into the oceans. This raises global sea levels, increasing risks of coastal flooding, less ability to absorb CO2. The oceans currently take up about a quarter of greenhouse gas emissions. Warmer waters have less ability to absorb CO2. If the ocean takes up less CO2 in the future, more would accumulate in the atmosphere, further warming the air and oceans. And it's looking like El Nino is coming. All right. I did. I think somebody. I think somebody dropped me a coffee. Shannon Grow Garrett dropped me a coffee. Thank you, Shannon. I appreciate it. What's up, Rockfinners? Ace Butcher says it's the Economist. Stupid. That's pretty good. Caleb Rochester says no people allowed anywhere. Sir, you are extreme. I mean, that's fine. You think what you want. I mean, that's we're gonna get there if we keep going the way we're going. Excuse me. And this is the chart, the graph that we keep seeing every single day that doesn't seem to want to go in the right direction. Sir, you're supposed to be going this way. This is going in the wrong direction. It's still going up when it should be going down. Sea surface temperatures. I mean, why this isn't being shown on the nightly? Well, we know why it isn't. Not being shown on the nightly news. Every single night. What's going on here? Where is this taking us? What are we doing? That article just admitted we are at 1.5. That's crazy. That's crazy. They're just letting it out. And how long have we? I don't know. I've been mentioning this for a long time. And other people have suspected that we're already at some people say we're already at 1.5, some people say we're already at 2. There's a whole lot of data and evidence to back up anybody's argument. But the reality is that the powers that be understand that the situation is much worse than they are letting on. That is the conspiracy. The conspiracy is not that it's not happening. The conspiracy is that it's much worse than they are letting on. We're all, we're way far out over the ledge. And they don't want you, they want to keep that from you for as long as possible so that everything can continue to go as normal. Because they fear everyone suddenly realizing, uh-oh, we are truly, truly screwed. And this is I don't even know how to describe this anymore. I don't have any words for this. Where is this going? Because it seems to be going up when it should be going down. Where is this going to go? And what is that, what are the knock-on effects 6 months out from now of this? Or a year from now of this? This is not a good situation. I'm sorry if it's frightening, scary, or whatever. This is really happening. So, at least at the very minimum, please be aware that this is going on. All right, Professor Steve Austin talking about carbon dioxide removal. As if we have time for such trivialities, inanities. Carbon dioxide removal, the tech that is polarizing climate science. For some, CDR is crucial to staying below 1.5 C. But didn't they just say we're at 1.5 C? We're already at 1.5 C. We're not staying below. There's no staying below. Remember the well below? There ain't no well below. Others say it should not even be on the table. Why is it so controversial? John Kerry says relying on technology to remove carbon dioxide is dangerous. Yes, because the technology actually requires that you burn carbon. For some scientists, they are at the inevitable next stage of staving off the existential threat of climate chaos. For others, this should not even be talked about. Carbon dioxide removal technologies, which provide a means of sucking carbon out of the atmosphere, are one of the hottest areas of climate research. It's hot, I tell you, but also the most controversial. The debate over whether and how to develop CDR has been ignited by the release last month of the final section of the Comprehensive Review of Climate Science by the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. The report found that ways of capturing and storing carbon dioxide, though expensive, might play a role in trying to keep global temperatures within safe bounds. Okay. But scientists and policymakers are divided. Some say the technology must be the immediate priority for research. Others urge caution and warn against putting faith in untested technology before we have even fully deployed the reliable low-carbon technologies, such as renewable energy that we already have. John Kerry, the U.S. Special President Envoy for Climate, talked of his concerns. Some scientists suggest that it's possible there could be an overshoot of global temperatures beyond the limit of 1.5 C above pre-industrial levels that governments are targeting. And you could claw back, so to speak. You have technologies and other things that allow you to come back. The danger with that, which alarms me the most and motivates me the most, is that according to the science and the best scientists in the world, we may be at or past several tipping points that they have been warning us about for some time, he said. That's the danger, the irreversibility. The former UK government chief scientific advisor, Sir David King, strenuously disagrees. He believes CDR of many kinds will be needed, along with the means to repair the climate, such as, get this, refreezing the ice caps, because the world is almost certain to overshoot the global target limit of 1.5 C above pre-industrial level, which we already have. We're overshooting. He says we are already at 1.35. Oh, see how they're bringing out the numbers, guys? Look at that. Look at that. In 2023, they're bringing out the bigger number. Oh, one article says we're already at 1.5. They're saying 1.3. We're at 1.35. Oh, I haven't seen that number before. Thought it was 1.1. Thought it was 1.2. Now it's 1.35. We're almost there. We're almost there, guys. Okay. We are already experiencing massive warmth in the Arctic, where it's more than 3 C above the pre-industrial average. A rash of new technology startups bears witness to the potential business opportunity that many companies and investors see in CDR. These fledgling companies are exploring everything from scrubbers that chemically remove carbon dioxide from the air to biochar, which creates fertilizer from burning wood waste without oxygen, and carbon storage and capture, or carbon capture and storage, CCS, by which carbon dioxide is liquefied and pumped into underground geological formations. They have taken the IPCC report as a spur to investment and a stamp of approval. For the people that think that climate change isn't happening and carbon dioxide is plant food, why would these companies even be testing these things investing in these things, developing these things, why would they even do it? If it's a ruse, why are they building a seawall in Scotland around the Trump golf course? If it's not happening, why would you even pretend to do that? If, go through the motions. Why would you waste that money and that energy on that thing if it's not happening? I just want to know the answer to these questions. That's all. Growing carbon removal to be in line with the IPCC requires a massive scale up in the next decade, again, requiring more resources and more emissions in order to reach this massive scale that they say is going to be required. Startups are meeting this climate challenge by developing a suite of approaches that can make a gigaton impact, says Tanya Timmerman, the chief technology officer of Andes, a company that plans to use microorganisms to sequester carbon in soil. I mean, granted, there might be some better technologies than sucking, getting big machines to suck carbon out of the air. There might be, more biocentric organisms that sequester carbon. And we know that, plants sequester carbon, trees sequester carbon. All right. So there's people that think this is going to be, the techno folks. The human experiment is the biggest and the bestest and the baddest. And we're going to technologize our way out of this. And who knows? Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe they're right. I don't know. There's another way to lower carbon in the atmosphere, and that's to stop putting it there. There's also that. What do y'all think? All right. Yes, oceanic estate. Biological sequestration doesn't need any inputs from civilization. Therefore, we don't need to start, we need to stop. Exactly. Exactly. A lot can be solved with, just stop trying to do things, right? And that's actually true on a personal level, right? That's true on a micro scale. I've learned that the answer to a lot of problems is to not go crazy trying to figure out the answer to the problem. Sometimes the best thing to do is just go, I see that. I see you, problem. And I'm just going to hang back and I'm just going to watch. See how it plays out. Osama on Rockfin asks, don't any of you recall when Venus was habitable? Do you remember the time? I think Michael Jackson asked that once. Do you remember the time? All right. This is Justin Trudeau trying to get everybody to have a historical amnesia moment. I never forced any vaccines on anyone. we never confiscated people's money, or we never did anything that caused thousands of people to descend on the Capitol in a huge protest. I mean, it really wasn't that big of a deal. I don't know what was going on. Justin Trudeau claims he never forced anyone to get vaccinated. Jimmy Dore called him an evil MFer, which he is. He's a smooth-talking evil MFer, though.
Misinformation and disinformation is carrying people to believe things that are untrue. Misinformation and disinformation is carrying people to believe things that are untrue.
Never forget to apply that to yourself, sir. Mainstream media people, official government spokespeople, official government agencies. Never forget to apply that liberally to yourself.
Vaccinations is a perfect example of it. Like any modern bit of medical advancements, there are potential side effects in vaccinations. And there are people who've probably gotten very sick from vaccinations, on the billions of people who've been vaccinated against COVID over the past few years. There are far more people who obviously have died due to COVID, died from not getting vaccinated. And the idea that people can fly in the face of science, well, individuals are allowed to make their own choices. There may be all sorts of different reasons why someone is hesitant to get vaccinated. Oh. But I make a distinction, I have always have, between someone choosing for personal reasons.
Somebody might not choose to get, wow. I thought the people that didn't want to get vaccinated were racist, conspiracy theorists, lunatics, potentially domestic terrorists. I thought, what?
To choose not to get vaccinated. And someone deliberately using misinformation to mislead and scare other people with so-called facts that aren't facts at all, that lead them to make a choice that endangers their lives and the lives of other citizens. So as Prime Minister, through the greatest public health crisis that we've faced in 100 years in this country, since the Spanish flu.
I just want to say, this person looks like he doesn't have any fear of any consequences. And I feel like that should change. I feel like he shouldn't look so comfortable. I want to see this dude with a little sweat on his brow. And I want to see him a little with just a little bit of fear in his eyes. Like, that some consequences might be coming his way. Because I don't like this comfortable look. I don't like it.
My responsibility was to keep as many Canadians alive as possible. And all of the scientists and the medical experts and the researchers, not just in Canada, but around the world, understood that vaccination was going to be the way through this. And therefore, while not forcing anyone to get vaccinated, I chose to make sure that all the incentives and all the protections were there to encourage Canadians to get vaccinated, and that's exactly what they did. We got vaccinated to a higher level.
It was just incentives. Incentives like, do you want to keep your job? Do you want to leave the country? Do you want to enter the country? Do you want to travel? Do you want to get government services? Those kinds of incentives. That's not forcing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks, Trudeau. Man, a lot of people were surprised by Tucker Carlson being fired, and because he was actually. There are a lot of people out there like Tucker Carlson is just a CIA asset and a big old propagandist, and he's blah blah. Maybe all of that is true, but he also was one of the few mainstream media voices that were trying or attempting to kind of tell the truth about what was going on in the world. And it seemed like there was a shift in his consciousness. Seemed like there was a shift in his priorities around what he was doing. And maybe that was why he was let go. The number one rated show in the land, the host is let go. Kind of like Phil Donahue, right? Jimmy Dore pointed that out as well. Phil Donahue had the number one rated show back during the lead up to the Iraq War, and he spoke out against the Iraq War, and then they were like, "See you, Phil. We really, really don't need you mucking up our plans, okay, buddy? Sorry about your ratings. I mean, sorry for us." Anyways, he's defending. He's calling out the very fascist arresting of the black socialists. You glad you voted out fascism? The extremely fascist maneuver of arresting black socialists for opposing the government narrative. And he's talking about it. There's no, as Alex Rubinstein points out, Tucker Carlson, of all people at the Heritage Foundation, denounces the DOJ for its prosecution of African People's Socialist Party. What statements have the pro-BLM Democratic Party leaders and liberal media talking heads made on this subject? Where is the squad? In fact, all AOC can do is tell you that we need to censor and or take off the air anybody that she opposes, any voices that she doesn't like. Any voices that she, smears as or calls or labels or colors as fascist or wrong think. We need to get rid of those voices because we are free. We are a free society. Creative Experiment says, I donated to the Uhuru movement just to piss off the FBI. Good for you.
I started at Policy Review, the Soviet Union collapsed, which was an amazing thing. The coup against Gorbachev in the third week of August 1991 was the week I started at Heritage. And in retrospect, of course, you never appreciate the significance of things as they happen to you. Can't really know what the movie's about until it ends. But at the time, we didn't really appreciate how, well, two things. One, our entire political orientation was based on this war between the United States and the Soviet Union, this Cold War, but very much a war. And every part of our politics, as you well remember, those of you my age and older remember, every part of our politics revolved around that central conflict. That's the first lesson of history. Nothing is permanent except our own demise and God. But we didn't kind of get that. If you told me then that this week the Department of Justice would have indicted a group of people I don't agree with, by the way, on a lot of different issues, black nationalist socialists from Florida, okay, kind of not my demographic, but would have indicted them for criticizing the U.S. position, the Biden administration's position on the war in Ukraine, and charged them with felonies for which they're each facing 10 years in prison. If you told me that could happen here, I would have laughed at you. No. We have a First Amendment. That can't happen here, but it has. That and a lot of other things, which are gravely unsettling, actually, and people who were rooted in the Cold War story and the reality of the Cold War, again, my age, 53, kind of know where that goes.
Yeah. He's correctly pointing that out. I mean, I think, Tucker started to change. There's still a lot of things I don't agree with. I don't agree with Tucker Carlson on all of his views. Like, no way. I played plenty of his videos, criticizing the things that he was saying. I've done that multiple times on this channel. But he was one of the few mainstream voices out there that would put on independent, left-wing, anti-establishment, anti-imperialist voices on his show, which is extremely interesting, right? Because nobody would have Tulsi Gabbard on or Jimmy Dore on or, there are plenty of other people to add to that list. Nobody else was willing to do that. Nobody on the traditionally liberal media networks was willing to do that. So you kind of have to give it up for him on that level for being able to entertain different voices and different ideas and different thoughts. Excuse me. I was trying to get comfortable and I just kicked everything everywhere. Anyways. Lastly, let's watch this video. I'm gonna leave you with this from we talked about this story about the CIA actually concocting at the behest of the Biden administration and Antony Blinken the story about the Hunter Biden laptop being some Russian propaganda, which was they concocted it. It was a lie, and that was absolutely positively election interference on their part, on the part of the CIA and on the part of the Biden administration, et cetera, et cetera. But let's watch this from Matt Orfalea.
Incriminating evidence allegedly found on a laptop belonging to Biden.
Some sort of Russian disinformation campaign.
One eternity later.
Biden emails finally authenticated according to the New York Times.
It's rewind time.
It's a lie.
Altered or fake, unverified emails.
The story did not quite land due to the lack of verification.
Listen.
Verified.
What can't be verified?
The laptop.
Why do you say that?
Well, because it can't be verified.
I don't even want to report this. This is one of the most powerful families in Washington.
I'm a journalist.
Okay, I would love if you guys would start doing that verification.
No, we're not going to do your work for you.
It's a journalist's
Contrary.
job.
For all we know, these emails are made up.
Not really stories, just pure distractions. No serious journalist should fall for it.
It's a journalist's
Contrary
job
to what
to
President-
find out if this is verified.
Bottom line is we cannot confirm the story.
Experts say the emails cannot be authenticated.
The mainstream media is not reporting on this story because we can't authenticate this material.
The Hunter Biden laptop material is genuine.
This is a classic example of the right-wing media machine.
It just lacks credibility. The fact that it appeared in the New York Post, the only place low enough to put this orphan bastard story in print.
Obvious disinformation.
It is so obviously a Russian operation.
So obviously disinformation.
So obviously a Russian plot. Tell me why it's so obviously a Russian plot to you.
This is just classic textbook Soviet Russian tradecraft at work.
Right, exactly. And this is classic, very classic Russian disinformation tactic.
Classic disinformation campaign.
We shouldn't look at it as anything other than a Russian disinformation operation.
Known Kremlin disinformation.
Russians would be my number one guess.
Obviously, Russia.
Russian disinformation operation.
Russian disinformation.
Pushing Russian disinformation.
It does bear the hallmarks of Russian disinformation.
Hunter Biden's story is Russian disinfo.
Hunter Biden's laptop looks like it's tied to Vladimir Putin in Moscow.
Is that laptop yours? I don't know. I truly, that you don't know. The serious answer is that I truly do not know the answer to that. Did you leave a laptop with a repairman
Not
in
that I
Wilmington?
remember.
Not that you remember? No. No. I truly don't know.
Are you missing a laptop?
Not that I know of.
This whole operation looks right out of the Kremlin playbook.
The playbook of Russian disinformation.
Russian disinformation put into the haystack.
Russian disinfo.
Sounds like bullshit. I mean, who takes a laptop with their most personal information, drops it off, and never comes back for it?
You read the book and you'll realize that I wasn't keeping tabs on possessions very well for about a 4-year period of time.
The Russian disinformation campaign.
Disinformation from the Russians. Putin is trying very hard to spread disinformation about Joe Biden.
The Biden campaign says this is Russian disinformation.
There's overwhelming evidence that the Russians are engaged. It's a Russian plan.
Russian disinformation.
Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
So could have been yours.
Of course, certainly.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
History will expose you all as fools and useful idiots for the Russians. The idiocy, the sheer idiocy.
50 former intelligence officials signed on to a letter yesterday saying that the New York Post story about Hunter Biden's emails has all of the classic earmarks of a Russian disinformation campaign.
Russia, Giuliani.
Don't trust anything that he's telling you. This is Russian disinformation.
Russian disinformation campaign. Russian disinformation.
Russian disinformation campaign. Russian disinformation meant to harm our democracy.
Disinformation by the Russians.
The fruits of a foreign intelligence operation.
Part of that bigger Russian disinformation effort.
A Russian intelligence operation.
Connected to an ongoing Russian disinformation effort.
Linked to a foreign intelligence operation.
Connected to an ongoing Russian disinformation effort.
Tied to an ongoing Russian disinformation effort. Connected to a Russian disinformation campaign.
Linked to a foreign intelligence operation.
Likely coming from Russian intelligence.
To people familiar with the matter told.
All right. Good video. And you can see, yes, Poppy, you called it. They are all on script. And if you just repeat it enough, well, golly gee, it's got to be true. All right, guys, thanks so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. Thanks to everybody that has supported the show. Thanks for hanging out with me every day on these here interwebs. Calling people, Rockfin people, YouTube people. I will see you tomorrow at 12 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Until next time, peace.
Thank you.